Welcome everybody, Chef Casey here. Welcome you back to another round of the Patwin Kitchen, celebrating Native American Month for the month of November. I'd like to welcome you to the Second Hills Olive Mill, located here in Brooks, California. I'm the tribal executive chef for the Patwin Nation. They're the owners, operators of Cache Creek Casino, and they welcome you as well. Should be a beautiful round of dishes that kind of celebrate Native American history and kind of what we're doing in the present. Today we're going to do a beautiful little soup. I wouldn't call it a soup. I call it more of like maybe a stew, but a very light stew. It's a brook trout stew. You could use trout, you could use rainbow trout. It's a very light fish, flaky, so it should break up nice pieces in the stew. And this is kind of to pay homage to it, so let's get going. Very simple. I have lots of different ingredients I'm going to add to it, so let's start. Start using some olive oil. Get your pan nice and hot. We're going to cook our veggies first, and then we're going to add our liquid later, and then we'll add our trout later. So let's start with a little bit of leek. Leek's a beautiful aromatic. It's the best of both worlds. It's garlic, it's onion. Nice little rough chop. Again, this is more like a rustic little stew. Something that they would make around the campfire after their journeys or before their journey headed out to the hunt. We'll add a little bit of garlic. Not too much because your leek does have a little garlic aromatic to it. Now let's start with our potato, because the potatoes are going to take the longest to cook. So these are just some beautiful Capay Valley potatoes. There's wild potatoes up here in the Capay Valley, so this just kind of mimics what they would maybe dig for. It's a very uneven tuber. Doesn't look great, but it's delicious. So we'll take some of our potatoes. You can cut them any way you like. I'm going to just do a nice little chop on them. We'll add this to the dish. So this is a nice hearty dish. It's going to have potato. It's going to have corn. Everything that's kind of in season right now that we feel like would have been in season maybe a couple hundred years ago. So kind of just give this a turn. Make sure your leeks and garlic doesn't burn. There's a lot of natural sugar that comes out in garlic. That's why sometimes garlic burns so quick on you. It's because all that natural sugar is coming out. So this is sauteing. I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. This is the Arbequina brand olive oil that we get here at Second Hills. And then let's go to the corn, the second thing that's going to take the longest to cook. So this is a raw ear. We can just come and just take it right off the husk. And you can kind of smell all the aromatics coming together. The leek, the garlic, even the olive oil is very fragrant coming through. So I chose creek trout because trout's prevalent up here in the Cache Creek. It's a sustainable fish. It's been fished for hundreds, thousands of years. So while this is simmering, we can take a look at the rest of our ingredients. This is a beautiful little sunburst squash patty pan, grown here in the Capay Valley. So, you know, this is me honoring the past and the present, right? Right, you know, we have these beautiful veggies coming through Capay Valley. No foraging needed, but it also represents what could have been. We'll add our squash to it. Give it a nice stir. Again, you don't want anything burning, right? Now you have corn in here. Corn has natural sugar, so that could also bleed through, and that could also help with the scorch. Keep it nice and tight. You're just making the base of the stew. We're gonna eventually put in our liquid to kind of finish it up. Now while this is cooking, you can see we have trout here. This is a whole fresh trout. And what I did, I kind of smoked my trout and I peeled the skin back, trying to emulate what maybe they would have done. That's how I like to do it. And this is very light and delicate, so I'll put this in at the very end, because knowing that it's already cooked. So you don't really have to cook it. It's just more for adding a little bit more flavor to your broth, and also to keep it intact. Because if you put it in too early, it's gonna break apart on you. So you really want to keep it intact, almost last minute, right? Because your broth is going to be hot. And I'm using a fish fumet today. A fish fumet is a special way of saying fish stock. So while this is cooking, we'll get this some time. We'll dive into our mushrooms. These are some beautiful mushrooms we have. Just another product I feel like would have been foraged for and would have, if found, would have been added to a dish like this. Rough chop on everything. I like a rustic cut. And if you don't like mushroom, you don't have to add it. This is just my recipe and what I wanted to add to the dish. Now, when you add mushrooms, you have to add more fat. Mushrooms are going to take away all your moisture inside your pot. So you need to make sure that you're ready to accommodate the mushrooms with a little bit more oil. Nice and incorporated. Let's get a little bit more oil in there just to help the mushrooms cook, saute. At this point, I'd probably do a little salt, a little pepper, to your own taste, to each his own. Now your time, you can add your fish stock or your veggie stock or whatever you're going to add to it. Maybe about, I don't know, 3 cups. And now you're just going to baby your soup. While this simmers, we can get going with our herb mixture. We can add any type of herbs you like. I'm going to add some basil, parsley. And I'm also going to add a little bit of miner's lettuce. Now, miner's lettuce is a lettuce that grows locally out here throughout the weeds, throughout the hills and in the farms and on the roadside. So we'll take some of this miner's lettuce, or if you wanted to, you could do spinach. Spinach is a good substitute as well. I've used spinach in the past to replicate miner's lettuce. So we'll just grab it up, we'll get a bunch. I'm gonna do a nice little chiffonade on it. Nice little cut. Get some green in there. Keep stirring, stirring, stirring. While that's cooking, let's get our herbs. We'll do some basil. Just a little bit, we'll do some parsley. I'm thinking a little bit of chive. Just a little bit of chive. What else we have? Maybe a little rosemary. Go easy on the rosemary. Rosemary really does overpower. We'll just do a nice rough chop. And then at the end of this dish, we're going to make a little raw corn gremolata. Now, gremolata is more like almost like a finishing, like a garnish. Very simple. We add our herbs. Back to stirring. You don't want this to come to a boil. You want this to be a slow simmer, because if let's say you did add your trout too soon and it came to a boil, that boil is really going to help shred that trout out. So you really want to make this just a slow simmer. So I think now it's safe to add our trout. And I'm going to put my trout kind of just in big pieces and kind of let the soup break it up as it wants to. It's a very flaky fish, so it will fall apart on you. Maybe one more side. We all love trout. And again, this is a fully cooked fish. My trout's coming in smoked. It's a fully cooked fish, so you're not worried about cooking it in your stock, in your soup. You're just worried about kind of bringing it back up, heating it up. And you see how I'm not swirling my spoon. I'm just very casually, delicately, just maneuvering all the ingredients around. Let everyone get to know each other. That's looking pretty good. So let's do our gremolata. Okay, this is very simple. We'll take some raw corn and we'll take it right off the husk. See how it just comes right out. So we'll do a little olive oil. Do some salt. That salt's gonna help bring out some of that corn milk. Corn milk's just kind of that liquid that comes through the corn. And then we'll get back to our herbs. We'll do a nice chop on the parsley. And we're gonna use this to kind of top our stock, kind of be our garnish. I'm gonna go back to the olive oil. Add a little bit of garlic. And I'm gonna bring back a little bit more salt. And we're just gonna mix. I know you're saying, oh, it's raw corn. You're gonna put raw corn on top of the soup. Well, it's gonna be a garnish, so hopefully when your soup hits the bowl, you garnish, and the heat from the stock should help soften that corn a little bit. So let's go back to our soup. It's looking beautiful. The fish is still intact. The veggies are getting cooked. It smells fantastic. As you can see, we still have big pieces of trout still coming through. So this is the stage where I would say, okay, we're done. Our trout is still intact. Your stock is hot. Your veggies are cooked, and now you're ready to finish. So let's just ladle this in. Want to make sure we get all the stars of the show. So let's bring this here. Not quite done. We'll take our raw corn gremolata, and we can just come up top here. Come around. Like you said, you want to get that corn kind of in the mixture. Get that corn kind of in the stock itself to help kind of start cooking the process. But other than that, I think we're good. I think we're done. So once again, this is a creek trout stew, brook trout, a lot of forage veggies, beautiful fish fumet, easy soup to replicate, and a great way to honor past, present, and future. Chef Casey here from the Yochadehi Winton Nation. I want to welcome you again to coming to the Patwin Kitchen. Thank you.